off to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater. And a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Today in this video, we are looking at all the Colts offseason additions, whether that be free agency, re-signing their own guys, or the NFL draft. And we are going to talk about 6 Indianapolis Colts who are new, meaning could be guys the Colts signed, could be guys the Colts re-signed, or could be guys the Colts drafted. The top 6 guys who are going to have top 6 impact here on the Indianapolis Colts in the 2021 season. So for number 6, Derek, who you got?
Well, number 6 will be the signing of Chris Reed from the Carolina Panthers originally. Chris Reed, is a really talented interior offensive lineman. And, we've raved a lot about the offensive line depth that has been added this offseason, especially at the left tackle position. But I think the biggest one and the best one has been Chris Reed. A lot of people were very surprised that, he didn't get a deal somewhere else, because this guy for multiple years has only given up a couple of different sacks. So, this guy is a really talented interior offensive lineman in a spot where you felt like you needed to address. We now have tackles. We now have a talented interior offensive lineman that if, God forbid, Nelson or Glowinski went down for a significant amount of time, you felt confident that Chris Reed would be able to step in there and provide a good foundation for if those guys went out. So ultimately, Chris Reed, another offensive line depth piece, ends up at number 6 here for me. I think it's really good that they did this.
Yeah, I think the offensive line depth is very underrated, but a lot of Colts fans know last offseason the Colts really missed that, right? They really missed it when Ryan Kelly missed some snaps and Danny Pinter was thrown into the fire. Now, he did really well, but, Braden Smith is out, and then Anthony Costanzo's out, and then your tackles, and you're screwed, right? And Chris Ballard made it a point this offseason that's not going to be a problem this season. So the Colts go sign a guy like Chris Reed, who honestly on most rosters would be a starter. That I think just tells you how good this offensive line is. They can have a quality depth piece like that. Probably one of the better backup reserve offensive linemen in the league, I would argue. Yeah. Just having him on your offensive line alone, another veteran guy who's played nearly 50 games, I think that impact is going to be huge. Because like you said, you feel better in a pinch if one of those guys goes out. Chris Reed's played both left and right guard. So you feel pretty good about your guard situation there with 3 really quality starters. Quentin Nelson obviously better than a quality starter, but at the minimum, 3 quality starters on your offensive line. So I like this. Chris Reed, one that I think a lot of people may be a little bit surprised is on this list, but for those reasons we just said, I think it makes a lot of sense here at number 6. All right, now, Derek, at number 5, who do you have?
Number 5 here for me is re-signing of T.Y. Hilton. And not only for what the production that you still believe he can give you, but just ultimately the kind of presence he is. We've talked about it a lot, and all of Colts Nation has seen, the hashtag bring TY home. It's like his impact goes beyond the field. It goes into the hearts of Indianapolis. A lot of people, when you think Indianapolis, and especially us Indianapolis Colts fans, we think T.Y. T.Y. been around for so many years and, is like a legend in the Colts world. And his presence just goes beyond that. He's a mentor for the young players. He's becoming a good mentor for Carson Wentz coming in. He's been a great player and person for the Indianapolis community. Just being able to bring somebody like that back who has that kind of push and pull and on the community and on the team, and for a guy especially too, who we know can go and get you 50 catches a year, can go and get you 700 yards, can go get you a bunch of touchdowns, to re-sign a guy like that or possibly even more. It's really good to be able to bring somebody in like that.
You mentioned the mentorship part. I think a lot of people think, oh, he's going to mentor Pittman. I think a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact he's had on Paris Campbell in his couple of years. We all know about Paris Campbell's injuries. It's been really unfortunate, but Paris Campbell thinks a lot of T.Y. Hilton. I mean, he's really high on T.Y. Hilton, and to just bring a guy like that back, I think, yeah, it's good for your locker room. It's good for your receiving core, obviously, from on the field, but also just off the field. I think it's really good to bring him back for another year with some of these younger receivers like Campbell, like Pittman, even like Pascal to a degree. So I think for that reason, I definitely agree here. T.Y. Hilton belongs on this list for sure. But, I mean, I think the reason why he's only number 5 here, right, is because – I mean, you look at some of the other moves the Colts have made, and you look at the receiving room and T.Y. Hilton the last couple of years, it's not been the same as it was in his prime, right? He's getting on the other age of 30 now. He's getting up there in age. Obviously, you have your reasons for his stat line last year, whether that be quarterback play, whether that be, age, all that stuff, whatever that is. We're not getting into that argument right now. But I think, he definitely belongs on this list, and happy to see him here at number 5. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's go to number 4 here. Who is number 4? The number 4 new player, whether that be new contract or new addition on this Colts roster, you think is going to have the biggest impact?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the reason why, and you mentioned why T.Y. Hilton being number 5 is because there's a couple guys that are right above there that, play a couple other positions that might be of a little bit more of importance, and especially for what the Colts want to do. And especially since this guy right here definitely had a better season than T.Y. Hilton did, and that was Xavier Rhodes. So the re-signing of Xavier Rhodes to this cornerback room was so big. This guy was a top 10 corner last year. I mean, this is a guy who you asked most Minnesota Vikings fans, they said, oh, this guy's trash. This guy's done. Don't even try and talk to me about how he's going to be good again. This guy was a top 10 corner in the league. And, playing that kind of zone scheme and reuniting with his old DB coach, he was able to do things that, revitalized himself. And, he's going to be back this year. New circumstances a little bit, but he is going to be the veteran of the group. He's going to, again, be the leader. And we expect him to still be a relatively good corner. And that's exactly what the Colts need, because amongst this entire group, the only person that has really any substantial credibility when it comes to this corner room right now is Xavier Rhodes. So, it was so pivotal to get him, because not only did you have to worry about, the quarterback and the left tackle and the edge and all that, you didn't have to go and draft a corner in the draft because you were able to get Xavier Rhodes back. So that was so pivotal, and that's why he's number 4 here.
Outside of Kenny Moore, you meant to say, just for those people who are gonna come into there.
Outside corners. We're talking outside corners here. So guys that are replaced Rocky Sin and TJ Carey and whatnot. Yeah, it's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, number 3. Who do you have?
We got Eric Fisher. So signing of Eric Fisher, the left tackle who was formerly with the Chiefs. It makes total sense here why Eric Fisher would be number 3, because we've been saying it for the entire offseason. How are the Colts going to address left tackle with Anthony Costanzo now officially retired? Things like that. So it stinks because, Costanzo leaves on that note, and you have to wonder, how are they going to address it? Were they going to address it in the draft? But then we saw, the Colts didn't address it in the draft, so how are you going to go and get somebody now? Well, they ended up getting Eric Fisher, and despite the fact that Fisher may be gone for the first month of the season potentially, will be back and will be playing very well. And he's just one of those guys that when he was signed, you said the potential of him next to Quentin Nelson, I mean, that really just made it feel like the offensive line issue was fixed at that point. So that's why Eric Fisher is here number 3.
Yep. You all know how much I love this signing, how much I thought this was such a pivotal signing for this offensive line, because, yeah, he may miss a few games to start, but you could potentially have a top 10 left tackle for the next 3, 4, 5 years honestly. And it sounds like if he gets back to form, that's exactly what the Colts envision as well for Eric Fisher. But there is that injury, which I think also kind of keeps him down from maybe getting a little bit higher on this list. And also going back to the argument that we had at the start of the offseason, left tackle or defensive end. Obviously, the Colts felt like edge rusher, defensive end was more important. I think that leads to the number 2 on your list here, Derek. Who would that be? Or who? These two, there's 2 people here, I believe.
Yes.
Which 2 people would that be?
Yeah, ultimately, number 2 when it comes to the best moves of the offseason is really what the Colts did in the draft in the first 2 rounds, and that was drafting Kwity Paye and Dayo Adangbo. You know, we kind of all were just like, man, they double dipped to edge in the draft this year, you know, kind of just wondering why. Well, you know, after they signed Eric Fisher, we're kind of like, oh, well, maybe we now understand why they did that. You know, you draft a couple of different guys here who you think can be a staple for your defensive end group for many, many years to come, with just how talented these guys are and how raw and talented and just the personalities they have. You know, it makes a lot of sense now that you would have them here at these spots, because we've said it the Colts Nation's been debating all offseason, how important is defensive end for this defense, because, you know, we had a couple guys in Justin Houston, Danico Autry, who were veterans, gave you some quality minutes, but nothing that really set them apart from the rest of the league. But now you think Kwity Paye and Dayo Adangbo have that ability to start doing that.
Yeah, I mean, these guys both just seem like guys that aren't big talkers. They just are guys that go to work, man, and they work their butts off. I mean, that's something with both these guys, you know, looking at them, that's not a thing you would say is a negative. Like, you would not say these guys have work ethic problems. Like, both these guys seem like they're incredibly hard workers, and they have the talent to boot. So you have to feel really excited about that as well. And they both have they're really physically gifted as well. So I think number 1 is fairly obvious, Derek. I mean, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, the quarterback position reigns supreme in the NFL, right?
Yep.
And I think for that reason, I can confidently say and spill the beans here on your number 1. Our number 1 is Carson Wentz, right?
Yep.
I mean, my goodness, Carson Wentz offers you so much more in your offense. We've talked about this to death by this point, but what he allows you to do at the quarterback position and just on offense is heads and shoulders more than what you were able to do last year with Phillip Rivers. No knock against Rivers, but he was nearly 40, immobile, injured his toe. I mean, Carson Wentz, from a physical standpoint, it's night and day, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already all seen how Carson Wentz is really enjoying himself in Indianapolis. He said even after just 2 weeks, he's having more fun right now than what he did in the last 3 years combined with Philly. So, I mean, it's going to show you that, you know, he really is enjoying his time here. And Carson seems to really have found himself again. And like you said, potential-wise, Carson Wentz provides so much more. And you said it, negatively or positively, quarterback impacts the game so much more than any other position in all of sports. So that's the ultimate question here. Are the Colts are going to be as good or as bad as Carson Wentz is this season? And I'm here for the journey on that.
Yep. We all are, man. It's going to be exciting, slightly nerve-wracking, but I think we feel good about the organization. We feel good about the structure around Carson Wentz, that we feel like he's going to have a nice bounce-back season. But obviously time will tell. We'll see if we come back in a year and look like complete fools, or if we were right on the money. We'll see for sure. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know, the guys on our list. Let us know if there's any other guys you would include that maybe we didn't include, or if there's some other guys you'd maybe change the impact up on. Let us know in the comments below, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.